To our series on Docker, learning about Docker. So one of the things we've already seen is how to run a container, and we've seen that data does not persist within a container from one container run to another. So if I were to run a container using this command, again, this is a Docker run it in detached mode so I get my terminal back. IT is interactive terminal, and Alpine is the image I want to run. So if I run that, and then I do a Docker attach on whatever this name is, probably that one. Here we are inside the container, and if I say echo hello and put it in some file foo.txt, we can see that there's my contents of that file. Okay, if I exit out and do a Docker ps, we can see the affectionate Saha is no longer running. So let's create a new instance again, and if I were to run and do my Docker ps command, this one is amazing Kapitsa, so let's attach to that. And then do ls, and you can see that the file foo.txt is not there. So how do we make this data persist? Let's exit out of here. Well, the first way we can make data persist is using a volume. And a volume, we can say attach my current working directory to /app within my container, and that will make the data persist. Enter. And then I can go back and attach to this. Again, it's going to have a different name. I just hit tab to autocomplete. It looks like it's that one. And then I do a ls on /app, and you should see my current working directory is in there. So let's go into /app and touch foo.txt or something. And another new thing to learn, if I type exit, the container will end because the processes in it have ended. If you do Control P, Control Q, it will do an escape sequence, and it will leave my container running, so you can see it's still running. Anyway, let's go back in there. Okay, fine, it's still there. Let's type exit, Docker ps. You can see it's gone now. Now let's do another run of a container. Again, as long as I have that in there, again, this is a new instance of a container, Docker ps. We've got this new one, so as you can imagine, since all we're doing is creating a mapping into a volume on our local machine, then everything persists. Okay. Let's do a Docker ps, and let's do a Docker. Let's stop this one, sharp tharp. Great. The next one is a volume. Now, volume, the difference between volume, a Docker volume, difference between -v. -v is a bind mount, and a volume is managed by Docker. Or another way of saying that is the -v option just maps it to a local directory or a directory on my local machine that I have to maintain, I have to take care of, I have to create that directory, I have to allocate storage, I have to delete storage for that. Versus a Docker volume, Docker manages all this stuff. So let's start with Docker volume create sample vol. Okay, it said to create it, Docker volume inspect sample vol. Okay, so it does actually give it there is a place on my local system where obviously the data is being stored, but it's all managed by Docker. We can do a Docker volume ls to look at that volume, and we can do a Docker volume delete to delete it. So let's take a look at starting a container with a volume. Docker run -d mount source equals sample vol, and the target equals /app, and this will also be my Alpine image. Okay, Docker ps. Oh, let's see here. Oh, I didn't do minus IT. Docker PS, Docker attach, Grapevine, fine. If I go into the /app directory, you see nothing's in there because I didn't mount it to my working directory. This is a Docker managed storage location. Touch new file.txt, echo hello to foo.txt. We can see that both those files are there. Let's exit out, which will also end the container. Let's go back, let's create an instance of a new container and see if it persisted. Docker attach, and there's other ways of attaching to this, but app. You can see that the files are there. That's another way to persist data. And again, there's other ways of doing that same command, but that is one way of doing it, and that demonstrates how we can have some persistent storage.